So my brother and I started watching, we saw the first UFC in like November of '93, and my dad had one of those little tubes you put on the back of the TV and you can get all the pay-per-views, allegedly had one. But yeah, we saw that, and yeah, that was kind of when we kind of got involved. We had been boxing since we were like little, and when we saw that, it was just kind of like immediately something I wanted to do. I was 10 years old, and I always knew at that point that I wanted to, do jiu-jitsu and MMA, and just be involved in that line of work. My brother and I, we bought VCR tapes and we trained in the grass, and in my living room we would just drill the things that we would learn. About 10. I got really serious though when I was about 13 or 14. That's when I really and that would have been in 1997. So that's when things like really got serious for me, and started trying to teach and learn, and by teach I mean just like neighborhood kids, like anyone that we could get to come and train with us. That's who we would teach anybody and take anyone, and we trained in the grass for years, and finally my brother had saved up enough money to get a rental house, and then we trained on the carpet. We were extremely excited about that. It was like an amazing thing for us to actually be on some carpet, not to train in the grass, and grass stains hurt, man. These things are brutal. So that was when things like really took off for us, and we started to like build a team and do competitions, etc. Even early on, I was probably like 13 or 14. I kind of knew that this was my life. I played a lot of other sports, and this was just kind of the one that really interested me the most. I always thought it was going to be the biggest thing in the world, and it's kind of interesting that it's grew into what it is now. At one time, the police in town would actually they would take the tap out shirts that we would have. I would sell them out of the trunk. They had sponsored me when I was 15, and they would give us a hard time and pull you over if you had the sticker, and it was almost like an underground fight thing. You know what I mean? It's like like the bad for the sport was kind of their logo. So it's interesting how much has changed. My brother and I opened up. We got our first actual gym with mats in 1998 or 1999, right up on the square in Mount Vernon, and we trained. We had 2 students for about 2 years, and lived in the building, and rent was a little cheaper back then, so it was a little easier to hang on with no students. In Mount Vernon, where I'm still at now, where the Daisy Fresh is at now, it's my original hometown. I was born here, so everything that we've built here from the dirt. You know what I mean? I went over to train with Rodrigo Vaggi, so I did the MMA fights, and when my brother got done with that, I was really interested in just getting not just the belt, but just going through I always really wanted to have a coach, you know what I mean, and like someone like pushing me, and everything that I'd kind of learned was from him, and we had learned it from VCR tapes. So I was really intrigued to have like not just like a Brazilian coach, but someone from the the original set of these guys. Rodrigo had gotten his belts from his blue and purple from Helio Gracie, and he was like came over to the United States with Hickson and had competed, and he was a really incredible guy. So I would hitchhike over, get over to St. Louis however I could. It's about an hour and 45-minute drive, 2 hours to school, and I started over with him in 2007, and then trained there for a couple of years, and got my blue belt. And once I got my blue belt, I moved out to San Diego and ran around in San Diego for a year, and then came back, trained with Rodrigo, and then came back to Mount Vernon and reopened up gym. It was actually in my friend, he owned the Domino's Pizzas here in town. His sons wrestled, so I was really involved with their wrestling careers, and he let us open up his garage. We went from the garage to this little dungeon to a little bigger building, and then now, for the last, I think for about the last 5 years, we've been in the Daisy Fresh building, and it's an incredible place. It looks like shit, and the ceiling's falling in, but the walls don't make the team. What's inside of them really, that's the foundation of everything is inside those walls. A lot of people kind of talk shit and complain about the mats and all that, but at the end, results are all that matter, and we pump the results out. Whether you like the gym, you like the team, you don't like the gym, I mean, we're pound for pound, we're putting up the best results in the world. That's not debatable. From we have 1 or 2 locations, we're winning the literally the biggest team no-gi tournament that happened this year. We won. And it's just because of what happens inside those walls. You know what I mean? It's the building doesn't make the team. Team makes the team. A lot of people like to say, ask, if there's something special that I'm doing. But listen, all the guys that you just named, Andrew, Couch, George, uh, all the way down the list, all these guys, they would have did this no matter what. You know what I mean? They're just, I'm just lucky to be a part of all their journeys. And I'm just kind of what holds that group of guys together. You know what I mean? It's like, but all of them would have been successful no matter what, man. They're all amazing. And, this is a 2021. You can get on you. There's no secrets. People constantly ask, what is it? What is the jiu-jitsu that you guys are doing that's like, you're winning all these huge events. And it's gotten so good now that if someone beats someone from the Daisy Fresh team, they make a post and celebrate it about it. It's like the stepping stone, you know what I mean? It can be like a beginner and they beat them, which is amazing. It's like the opposite, I think, of how people would have their feelings. For me, it's like extremely humbling. And I like I said, man, it's all such an amazing thing. But holding that bond together for the guys and just creating the environment, that's what makes it so successful. The knowing that you can go in and at any time of the day you can find 20 people on the mat. In every class there's 40 to 60 people that show up every day with the intentions to be world champions, to be the best, to make everyone around them the best. The old iron sharpens iron saying, you know what I mean? It's like when you create something like that, and everyone thinks that they have that, but it all goes back to results. What are the results? You know what I mean? It's once you've created that, the results are just a byproduct of the environment. And I think that we like I said, we've created something that's extremely special, and anyone who comes and visits can feel that. As soon as you walk in the door, you can feel that the place is just different than other places. Everyone's happy, and I think being happy is more important than any amount of medals that you could ever win. And can you really be the best you if you're not in the best mindset that you could be in? So I focus a lot on the mental and the psychology of athletes as much as I do like the physical jiu-jitsu part of it, because a guy can be a killer in the room, man. He can tap black belt world champions, but if he can't put the hammer down in the competition, he's just he's an in-room killer. And there's a lot of those out there, and I think it's something that's not touched on a lot. And a lot of people are always constantly trying to fix the physical aspect of jiu-jitsu rather than there's a lot of mental things that people deal with. Even guys who are winning world championships, they before they walk out on the mat, sometimes like I said, there's always self-doubt, and that's just a human like a feeling, I think, to kind of have that. So it's just something you really have to stay on top of, and it's not just with one. You have to make sure that the other guys and girls are supporting each other. It's not something that just can come from me because I'm the leader in the gym or the guy that pays the electric bill. You know what I mean? It's like they have to have that when I'm not around too. And I think helping them build that, just it's not about just telling someone they're the best. It's about making sure that the things that are going on in their life are they're under control. When you kind of lose control with your stress and your anxiety and stuff, kind of things seem to like crumble downhill. So I think one of the biggest things is creating an environment where people can they feel open and okay about talking to each other, and about openly just saying, oh man, I'm having a rough day, I'm dealing with this, or this is kind of something that bothers me. And I think it's all about being comfortable, you know what I mean? And like I said, not to overuse the word, but the environment is just so important to for everyone to just be able to be themselves, whoever you are, whatever you have going on in your life. If everyone can just know that about you, you can just be yourself, and be open. And I just think that makes that makes the world for so many different people just so less stressful. I think that really helps, man. I think that just takes away a lot of the stress of competing and of winning, and feeling like you're constant self-doubt and insecurity. You know what I mean? It's just, I think carrying that around with you, it's just it takes the toll. You know what I mean? The goal was kind of always to have people come from all over the place, man. It's kind of what I did. I traveled the United States. I slept in my car. I went to California, and every summer in high school, I didn't stay and party and have a good time with the other kids. Every summer I went out and I stayed in a gym and lived on the mat, and that was always kind of the dream, man, to just give other people, some people aren't lucky enough to be born in big cities like Los Angeles, Houston, Dallas, New York, Chicago. Sometimes, there's a lot of people, that's the icing of the cake, but the cake itself, sometimes, they're from small gyms and they don't have the opportunity to be a part of big competitions, and you can do so much by yourself. But, when you're surrounded with, handfuls of people that have the same goal in mind as you to be successful, it's just, it's a lot easier that way. So that's just kind of what I always wanted to build. And I'd always kind of hoped and dreamed that would be who would think that people would come from all over the world to Mount Vernon, Illinois? There's 15,000 people here. But now it's not abnormal to have 15 people from 10 different countries visiting at any time. I mean, there were 15 visitors this week, you know what I mean? There's just constantly someone there, just trying, some come to join the team, some just come to, visit, and the door's always open. I think that's important in martial arts, to just have that, always just that open door policy to people. A lot of instructors and a lot of people, they start gyms there's kind of a hierarchy in our sport, and the way that they've learned is just to kind of be the king of their kingdom, so they kind of boss everyone around, and it's not as much about the student's growth as it is the coach or the instructor thinking that he's the boss and his way is the only way. And I just never wanted to be a part of anything like that, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to build something that was completely open, and people felt at home and they felt like they were a part of something bigger than them as soon as they walked into the door, you know what I mean? And I think we've been really successful at building that and making everybody comfortable to come and want to come back. And like I said, man, it's a wonderful place, and I'm extremely proud just to be a part of all of that. And I think the success and the results speak for themselves. I always like to use the scene, in high school, you had people that were really cool, that you really liked, but you just saw them at school. You didn't really hang out on the weekends, and they were best friends at school. But after high school, you never saw them again. And 15, 20 years go by, and then this was a person you saw every day, but you weren't really necessarily friends. And that's what I think happens at most jiu-jitsu gyms. That's going to hurt most people. Most people are going to listen to that and say, that's not how my gym is. But how many times have you been to these people's house? Do you know their kids? Are you involved in their life? Do they talk to you about problems, off the mat? Fuck the jiu-jitsu. It's, at the end of the day, this is about, it's about helping people be happy, helping them, with just enjoy life. Like I said, winning is a byproduct of all of that. And I think that when people start focusing a lot more on the mental aspect of helping people, just be better and feel better about themselves, I think they'll see that they'll have more results. Anyway, that's how it worked for me. The biggest mistake we make as humans is not taking risk and letting fear and being afraid of failure and not being comfortable control our lives. It's look, some people, they just can't do it, and that's okay. You don't have to move to the Daisy Fresh and do hard rounds every day to be successful. That's the recipe for success that I and the guys use. That's the only one that I've ever known. That doesn't mean it's the correct one, but I do think that you have to take risk as a human to to be successful. You know what I mean? Just if is having $1 million and living in a mansion with a wife and that you aren't sure if you're really in love with, and you're not sure if you really like your job, because you can't quit your job, because if you quit your job, you'll lose your car. If you lose your car, you know what I mean? You can't pay your bills, you lose your house, you lose your family. Is that happiness? Is having money and that I think you have to make yourself happy before you can make anyone else happy. And I think that's a lot of people are they're in love with the thought of being in love, not necessarily with a person, but with the situation. They're in love with, they think you're supposed to have this family and you're supposed to have all these things. That's the stuff that makes you happy. And realistically, you're the only person in the world that can make you happy. So I think you have to go out and find what that is. You know what I mean? Especially while you're young and you don't have, all those risks to take. It's like I think you got to get out and just do it. And the way that I always looked at it is, I can always go back and grind and work. And people ask all the time, what if these kids break their leg? What if they do this? My system that I've always looked at, and system's a funny word. It gets thrown out there loosely, but it's like this. A blue belt is like an associate's degree. A purple belt is like a bachelor's degree. A brown belt is like a master's. A black belt's like a PhD. So that's always how I looked at it. I just looked at it like school. You get your belt, you open up a gym. Jiu-jitsu and MMA are like the biggest growing sports ever in history. You know what I mean? So anyone who's wanting to come to do something full-time obviously has some type of serious love or passion for it. So if they're willing to do that, I would say that they want this to be some part of their life forever. So, if George breaks his leg, then his leg will heal and he'll open up a gym one day and he'll create champions already. He's amazing. He can do that right now. He can open up a gym and have probably more successful results than 90% of the gyms in the United States right now. And the guy just got his brown belt. So there's always options for everything. Happiness is what really matters. Being happy in life, you know what I mean? That's what really matters. And you have to take those risks. Just do it. Your family and your friends are the people that are going to hold you back the most. Their job is it's like the governor in your brain. Their job is to try to protect you and coddle you. And comfort can be confused with success. And I think it's important to just find the line in between those two. And once you do, I think you could. Look, like I said, the time will never be just right. Just do it. Go for it. If you fail, you can go home and get a job. You can go back and do the things you want to do. If that doesn't work for you, there's no reason to talk shit about it. Just don't do it. Then stay and do the life that you want to do. But for the guys out there that want to give it a shot and they want to go after it, just do it. Because the worst thing in life is laying in bed wondering what if, And if you do something and you fail, that's okay. But if you never try, you'll never know, and that'll eat at you for the rest of your life. So, like I said, the time will never be just right. Just do it.